If your tomato leaves are turning brown from the bottom up, the infection has already started, and it started in your soil. This is not a watering problem, it is not a nutrient deficiency. What you are looking at is a fungal disease called early blight, and if you do not act within days, it will strip your plant from the ground up, destroy leaf coverage, and reduce your harvest significantly. This video explains exactly what early blight is, how it works, why it moves upward through your plant, and what you need to do right now to stop it. Early blight is a fungal disease caused by Alternaria solani ***. It is one of the most common and destructive diseases affecting tomatoes worldwide. The visual symptoms are specific. Look for circular to oval brown spots on the leaf surface. Inside those spots, you will see concentric rings, a series of rings within rings, forming a pattern that looks like a target or a bullseye. This ring pattern is the most reliable visual identifier for early blight. Around the edges of each spot, the leaf tissue turns yellow. This yellowing is caused by the fungus releasing toxins that break down healthy cells beyond the immediate infection site. The critical observation is this: those symptoms appear first on the oldest, lowest leaves on the plant. Not the top, not the middle, the bottom. That location is not random, it is directly connected to where the pathogen lives and how it moves. Alternaria solani * is a soil-borne fungal pathogen. It does not arrive from a neighboring garden through the air in its initial cycle. It originates from 3 primary reservoirs. First, infected soil. The fungus produces structures called sclerotia, dense, hardened masses of fungal tissue that can survive in the soil for up to 2 years. Freezing temperatures do not eliminate them. Dry conditions do not eliminate them. They remain dormant until conditions become favorable. Second, plant debris. Any tomato plant material left on or in the soil after harvest, leaves, stems, old roots, carries viable fungal tissue. That debris becomes a permanent source of reinfection. Third, infected seeds. Alternaria solani can be seed transmitted. If you are saving seeds from infected plants or using uncertified seed stock, you may be introducing the pathogen directly into your garden at planting. Once present in the soil, the fungus produces spores, microscopic reproductive units called conidia, that are the primary agents of infection. These spores do not need much. Warm temperatures between 24 and 29 degrees Celsius and leaf wetness for 6 to 12 continuous hours are sufficient for germination and infection. The location of initial infection is a direct result of physics and biology. Fungal spores sit in the soil and on soil-level debris. When water hits the soil surface from rain or from overhead irrigation, it creates splash droplets. Those droplets carry spores upward from the soil and deposit them on the nearest leaf surfaces. The nearest leaf surfaces are the lowest leaves on the plant. There is a second factor. Lower leaves receive less sunlight and less airflow than upper leaves. Reduced airflow means reduced evaporation. Lower leaves stay wet longer after rain or irrigation. Wet leaf surfaces extend the period during which spores can germinate and penetrate the leaf tissue. The oldest leaves are also physiologically weaker. As a tomato plant matures and allocates energy to fruiting, the oldest leaves receive lower priority for resources. Reduced cellular defense mechanisms make them more susceptible to infection. This combination, spore source at soil level, water splash delivery, prolonged wetness, and weakened tissue, explains precisely why early blight begins at the bottom. Once the lower leaves are infected, the disease moves upward through several mechanisms. Water splash * continues to be the primary driver. Rain, impact, and overhead irrigation carry spores from infected lower leaves to healthy leaves above. Each infected lesion on a leaf can produce thousands of new spores within a week of initial infection. Wind * distributes those spores laterally and upward to neighboring leaves and adjacent plants. Dense plantings accelerate this process because spores have shorter distances to travel and airflow between plants is restricted. Physical contact is a significant and often overlooked pathway. Handling plants while working, pruning, staking, tying, transfers spores from infected tissue to healthy tissue on your hands and tools. The same happens when leaves from adjacent plants brush against each other. The upward progression is consistent. Lower leaves become heavily infected and die. the infection advances to the next tier of leaves. Without intervention, the plant progressively loses its entire leaf canopy from the ground up. The damage from early blight operates on two levels: immediate cellular destruction and systemic physiological loss. At the infection site, fungal hyphae penetrate the leaf cells and consume cellular contents. This kills the tissue directly, producing the brown necrotic lesions visible on the surface. Each necrotic lesion removes functional photosynthetic tissue. Photosynthesis, the process by which the plant converts light into energy, requires green, intact chlorophyll-containing cells. Dead tissue contributes nothing to energy production. As the disease progresses and infected leaves die and drop, the plant loses a growing percentage of its photosynthetic capacity. The plant responds by redirecting available energy reserves. Fruit development suffers. Existing fruit may fail to size properly or ripen unevenly. Alternaria solani can also infect stems, particularly at the soil line, producing a condition called collar rot. It can infect fruit directly, producing dark, leathery lesions, typically near the stem attachment point. In severe cases, affected fruit becomes unmarketable. If early blight is present in your garden right now, these are your immediate priorities. Remove infected leaves immediately. Any leaf showing early blight symptoms should be removed by cutting, not pulling, which can dislodge spores at the petiole. Place removed leaves directly into a sealed bag. Do not compost infected material. Composting does not reliably destroy Alternaria spores. Improve airflow, prune suckers and any non-productive lateral growth to open the plant canopy. Increased airflow reduces leaf wetness duration, which directly reduces infection efficiency. Switch to base watering. If you are using overhead irrigation or a sprinkler, stop. Water at the soil level using drip irrigation or a handheld hose directed at the base of the plant. Keeping foliage dry eliminates one of the primary vectors for spore movement. Apply mulch. A 5 to 8 centimeter layer of organic mulch around the base of each plant creates a physical barrier between the soil surface and the lower leaves. This suppresses soil splash and reduces direct spore transfer to foliage. Apply a fungicide. Asterisk for early blight. Copper-based fungicides, copper hydroxide or copper octanote, are effective and widely available. Chlorothalonil is a synthetic option with proven efficacy. Biofungicides containing Bacillus subtilis are effective in early-stage infections and in preventive programs. Apply according to label directions, covering both upper and lower leaf surfaces. Reapply after heavy rain. Overhead watering is the single most common practice that worsens early blight. Every irrigation event that wets the foliage is an opportunity for spore germination and spread. Ignoring early symptoms is the second critical error. Growers frequently notice the first few brown spots on lower leaves and delay action. By the time the symptoms are widespread, the spore load in the garden is already high and control becomes significantly harder. Crowded planting increases humidity, reduces airflow, and creates physical contact between plants. All three of these conditions accelerate disease spread. Leaving removed leaves on the soil surface, rather than bagging and removing them, reintroduces spores directly back into the splash zone. Acting only after significant defoliation has occurred leaves the plant with reduced capacity to recover and sustain adequate fruit production even if the disease is eventually controlled. Crop rotation is the most effective long-term preventive measure. Alternaria solani survives in soil, but its population declines significantly when tomatoes and other susceptible hosts, including potato, eggplant, and pepper, are absent for 2 to 3 consecutive years. Rotate tomatoes to a different section of the garden each season. Clear all plant debris at the end of every growing season. Remove the entire plant, roots, stems, leaves, and dispose of it away from the garden. This eliminates the primary overwintering reservoir. Use resistant varieties. Several tomato cultivars carry partial resistance to Alternaria solani Resistance does not mean immunity, but it significantly reduces disease severity and slows progression. Check variety descriptions before purchasing seed or transplants. Space plants correctly. Minimum spacing of 60 centimeters between plants in a row and 90 centimeters to 1.2 meters between rows allows adequate airflow. crowded spacing is a structural decision that cannot be corrected later without removing plants. Monitor plants weekly. Inspect the lower third of each plant every 7 to 10 days beginning 2 to 3 weeks after transplanting. Early detection allows for early removal of infected tissue before spore load builds to levels that are difficult to manage. Early blight recurs because the pathogen persists. If you had early blight last season and you grew tomatoes in the same location without clearing debris, it will return. The spores from last year are still in your soil. If you are already seeing symptoms early in a new season, start the same immediate response protocol. Remove infected leaves, switch to base watering, mulch the soil, and begin a fungicide program without delay. The key difference in a recurrent situation is that spore levels in the soil are higher than in a first-year infection. This means the pressure on the plant is greater from the start. Early action is not optional, it is the entire margin between a productive harvest and a failed crop. Continue scouting every 7 days. Continue removing infected material. Continue fungicide applications on the recommended schedule. If early blight returns in the same location for 2 or more consecutive seasons despite management efforts, the soil reservoir has become established. In that case, full crop rotation for a minimum of 3 years is the only effective long-term solution. Early blight is predictable, diagnosable, and manageable, but only if you understand the biology driving it. The fungus lives in your soil, water carries it upward. Wet, crowded, poorly managed plants give it everything it needs. Remove infected tissue, control moisture on foliage, apply fungicide early, rotate your crops. Those 4 actions applied consistently give you direct control over this disease.